Good afternoon. We're here today with Dr. Mary Black, a professor in the School of Theater, Arts, and Dance. I always have a hard time with that. I don't know why. It's right there,
Because it's
SOTAD.
a
I get it.
college of fine arts and a school of theater and dance, so the arts get tossed into multiple areas, I think.
So, how you doing?
I'm good. It's been a chaotic few weeks here as I'm kind of starting to transition into the interim provost position. I've had a lot of meetings with Jeff Aper to try to get trained up and ready for that. But things are also, lots of things are happening in the School of Theater and Dance right now. We have our outdoor show of the spring happening this weekend. So we're working on
That's
finishing all of that.
gotta be frightening. Doing an outdoor show in the spring, with rain and everything, it could snow for all we know, the way things are going.
We have been glued to the weather calendar. We thought a week ago we were worried we would have a rain out today, and now today is looking good again, but now we're worried about Sunday. So, and we've had some issues with wind blowing things where it's very different than the controlled set of circumstances we're used to over here. So
Yeah, and that's kind of interesting because you have this thing where so much of it has to be controlled. Your sets, everything that you do to get this through, lighting, sound. You guys usually have that down in practice for weeks getting that set up, right? Let alone worrying about what the performers have to do. And now you guys get to deal with all of this with wind and sun and clouds.
And masks.
And masks.
Masks and microphones.
Oh my goodness, this has got to be fun.
It actually has been. We purposefully chose kind of a lighthearted, fun show for the spring slot, and really kind of as much as we could this season, because we knew we were going to need some lighthearted joy in the midst of this pandemic. So this show has been really a fun project to get to work on.
So the show is Peter Pan.
That is correct. The show is.
Are you directing it?
I am not. I am the scenic designer. Tom Robeson is directing. Beth Creighton is doing the music direction. And then we have a student doing the choreography. So
oh goodness, who's the student?
Kat Macri is her name.
Okay, I'm sure she'll do a fine job.
Yeah, it's been fun. Although she also has the challenge of working on grass and uneven ground, which is something we're not used to as well. So.
Oh goodness, I didn't even think of that. With dancing and everything, yeah. What was the last show you directed?
I have not directed. I come from a design and production background. So when I started at Millikan, I was the technical director, who is the person responsible for engineering and producing the scenery. So I did that for several years until I moved into the director position. And I still do some design work on a show or two every year, either scenery or occasionally lighting. So I still get to dabble, but I don't design or do as much production work as I used to.
Do you miss it?
Sometimes. Mostly, I really enjoy getting to work with the students, and I still get to do a lot of that, and that's been really good. I'm a little nervous about that next year. I'll have a lot less student interaction as interim provost than I do in my current position.
Yeah, and I want to get to the provost, but I want to talk a little bit more about what you guys are doing now, because I just find it, it's got to be really difficult. In my classes, I always end up talking with freshmen at some point or another in my critter classes, because you have athletes and theater kids in the same building, in the same classroom, and sometimes that's about all you're going to get with the interaction of it. And I want to always drive home the fact to the athletes that the theater students are doing as much physical work and spending as many hours preparing for what they do as the athletes do. And then I have to say the same thing oftentimes to the theater students about the athletes, because you know what? They do the same thing in so many ways. And I just wish we could make them all understand how connected they really are.
Yeah, that's one of the things I particularly love about Millikan, but I think is probably true at a lot of small schools. And that's that we get to see the athletes over in the arts, and we do cross-pollinate more than I think a lot of places do. We do have a couple, not a lot, but we do have a few athletes in the School of Theater and Dance. And we do, have some interaction, and several of the faculty get out to see athletic events occasionally. And it is kind of nice. It's been actually really interesting. We're doing this show on the north lawn of the Center for Theater and Dance. So we're right there next to the volleyball court over by Old Gym, and getting to see, we reserved the volleyball court so there wouldn't be folks playing during the shows, but they've been out there while we were rehearsing all week. So, we do have these speakers and these students out there dancing and belting their music, and meanwhile right across the way we've got folks occasionally between plays turning to be like, what are they doing over there? As we're all kind of occupying that same space, and it's been fun.
I haven't been on campus a lot. I just started to get going a couple of weeks ago when my second shot kicked in, so I'm fully vaccinated now, so I'm much more comfortable about going onto campus. But I haven't been in that beautiful new building that is right across the, way from Schilling, which is not beautiful, but is old and stately, I guess you could say. So how do you like it?
Incredible. It's been awesome. Especially, we've had a lot of folks, patrons especially, say like, oh, it's such a pity that, you got this new building in a year that you can't really use it. And I keep laughing about that. Like, we're using this building more than we might have any other time, because we've got so much more technology in this space than we ever had access to before. I don't know how we would have had Zoom acting classes a year ago, because we didn't have cameras or screens in our classrooms. And now we've got access to all of that. And so we were able to, most of our faculty have been teaching hybrid with half the students in the room at the time, and kind of alternating between groups and Zooming to the students who aren't there. And that's really difficult for faculty to kind of engage with both those groups, but it has allowed our students to continue to engage in in-person acting and dance and voice classes. And I think that's been really important for your theater and dance students in particular. It's hard to, give feedback on, a tap sequence from afar when you're trying to watch a whole bunch of little tiled screens of people doing that tap sequence. So getting folks back in the classroom has been really exciting.
Oh, you have no idea how much I want to be back in a classroom. Speaking of that, you are moving. You've been very active in SOTAD since I've been here. You've been extremely active in what you do. Now you're moving. You're moving from the School of Theater and Dance to interim provost.
Yep.
Without being rude, what made you want to do this?
A lot of the same question when I first started as director of the School of Theater and Dance. And I used to joke that it's the same process I've been used to, because in theater we do so much collaboration, we do so much strategizing and problem solving and working together. And as the kind of engineer and budget person in the group, I've also kind of had to figure out budgets and what we can afford and what we can't, and how we can piece things together when we can't quite afford what we want. And I found that was kind of the same skill set I needed as a department chair. And so when I became director of the School of Theater and Dance, I found that I really enjoyed it and enjoyed kind of the different set of problem solving. And that's led me to be more and more interested in what's going on across the university. So I've served the last couple of years as the faculty representative to the Board of Trustees, which is a really kind of interesting new view on the university, because you get to engage with the Board of Trustees meetings, but also as an ex officio member of Council on Faculty. So I kind of really get to be engaged in what faculty are excited and concerned about, and also what the board hears of that and what they are excited and concerned about. And that's made me realize that I really have an interest in this kind of big picture strategy of how we're solving problems at the university level and not just at the department level. I'm also passionate about faculty mentorship and evaluation processes. I served on the faculty evaluation Nyberg study group a couple of summers ago, and I think that's something some areas in the university do better than others in terms of making sure faculty are getting consistent feedback from peers and from department chairs and deans. And I'm really excited to work on that and hopefully helping especially junior faculty make sure they're getting the mentorship they need across disciplines in the university.
Okay.
So yeah, it's crazy. I don't know what I'm thinking, but I'm excited and excited that I may be able to bring some small modicum of positive change in the year that I'll be serving. So
it's, you start in June?
Yep.
I think the biggest thing that you have to worry about is a thing that has affected us all for the last year and a half, and that's going to be COVID.
Yep. Yeah, it's a very difficult year to step into the cabinet, to step into really higher ed leadership in general, both because of the impact the pandemic has had on faculty and teaching and curricula and big picture assessment. All of those things have been affected, but also kind of how it's affected the full university in terms of budget and enrollment and all of those things.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to do it. I'm sorry. I think God bless you. I'm serious, and good luck.
Thank you.
But it's a challenging, daunting job.
It is.
And the first thing, it's the questions that everyone is always wanting to ask, do we have a shot at being normal again?
Well, next year, I think it's going to be a transition year still. I'm hopeful that a significant majority of both employees and students will be vaccinated by the time we come back to campus in August. And if that happens, I don't know if you'll have had a chance to look at it already. President Jim Reynolds just released a vaccination incentive plan to try to encourage folks to get vaccinated, in hopes that if we get a large enough population of our campus community vaccinated, we should be able to return to a little bit more normalcy in terms of full capacity in-person classes and events, and lifting some mask mandates. But that really all depends on us and our students, and if folks are willing to get vaccinated. I think from what I've seen so far, most faculty are on board and are doing it and working on it, getting appointments, getting vaccinated. A lot of our students are already. So I'm really hopeful that, particularly with kind of knowing what's at risk and knowing not only what's at risk in terms of contracting the virus, but also what's at risk in terms of the positives we could gain if we get enough folks vaccinated. I'm hopeful that people will, and we will have some sense of normalcy in the fall. So,
well, I know that I got the email and I went to try to fill out the survey and it wouldn't let me fill out the survey. but I have been vaccinated. I'm high risk, so I got a chance to get in pretty early. And I keep telling my students every day, and if you get a chance to listen to the show after we talk with you, my wife will be on, who's a nurse practitioner, and she's been preaching well before COVID hit about vaccinations and the importance of them. I'm all for it. I understand that if we could get enough people, we can have a real life again.
We'll get there eventually. I'm hopeful that the on-campus vaccine clinic will make a big difference too. The
and that's
ease of
Tuesday.
access is really exciting. So.
That's Tuesday, and you get your choice of 2 shots.
Yes, you do.
Moderna or Johnson & Johnson.
Yes, indeed.
How much say or input do you have right now?
Some. I have started attending cabinet meetings.
Okay.
And I have found that group to be very generous and welcoming. So I certainly feel that my voice is heard in that room. But a lot of these decisions come down to the president, as we're all trying to negotiate what is the best outcome, or how is the best way to get to that outcome. I think I shouldn't say we all. There are many faculty who don't agree on on the plan that we should all be getting vaccinated. So I don't want to speak for everyone, but I think the vast majority are in the same boat and are hoping that we will be able to get there. It's just a question of what the best tools are to get us there.
Yeah. Let's come back. You've been at how long have you been at Millikan?
This is my 12th year at Millikan.
12.
Yep.
Okay. What's your favorite part about it?
The students. That's such a cheesy answer.
No, it's not.
But I think we are an institution who knows who we are, and because of that, we attract high-performing students who also really want to have lives of meaning and value, and really want to contribute in a positive way to the world. And I think that vision and that mission has helped us attract a faculty and a student body who are invested in both academic excellence and positive change for the world. So I think having students in our classrooms that are excited to learn, excited and engaged, and excited to make a difference excites me. So
let's talk about our students for a moment. And these are things that I've thought about an awful lot. You know, next year, if we get to open up more, we're going to have a class of sophomores as well as freshmen that really haven't experienced Millikan. I have a daughter who's a freshman at Millikan, and she's hardly ever on campus. I've talked now with students who are on campus who seldom leave their rooms because there's not a lot to do. There's not a lot of contact. That's not Millikan.
Yeah.
How and what are we going to have to do to help these people get the full experience?
Well, again, I think the key will be getting everyone vaccinated so we can reopen public events. But I think people are ready to do it. In my current area, for example, we've got a full season planned for next year. And we may have to be at partial capacity if we don't have enough vaccination on campus. But we're planning a full season, and we're hopeful we'll be able to have, a full audience of unmasked people that are able to enjoy those experiences. And I know Student Affairs is also really looking forward to being able to return to in-person events and have some of those community building opportunities. So I think it's going to be interesting. We'll start conversations over the summer about what we're going to do with opening convocation. Can we have an opening convocation in person? Do we need to limit it to just first year students as an opening convocation? Or, do we think we'll be able to be at full capacity in August, or do we want to try to do it digitally? We're just kind of at the start of those conversations because we knew we needed to address the vaccination issue first. So,
And you really don't know until July.
yep.
And that's one thing I'm going to apologize to you for all of us, because I know we are going to start, I'm talking we as everybody else at Milliken, we are going to start giving you guys crap real soon. It's not your fault. I understand it's not your fault. Doesn't mean that it's not going to be coming, because we all want to know.
Yep.
And we understand that we can't know for a while, but that doesn't stop us from wanting to know.
Yeah. Well, and we had quite the scramble last year in the late summer, doing things like trying to get new furniture into all of the classrooms to make sure that we were all socially distanced and we had enough classrooms to serve everyone who wanted to be in person. And so we're hopeful that we won't have as much scramble, as we'll all have some answer in July and be able to for faculty to prep their courses, knowing what the requirements are, and for facilities to prep the classrooms, knowing what the requirements will be. So, so far, Illinois is doing well with our vaccination percentages. Decatur, not so much. So,
no, I always
some of
look
these
at our
walk-in clinics will help with that. Yeah.
The key to surviving as a good provost is managing to have a good relationship with the faculty as well as the president. I think that can be a difficult thing to do sometimes, because priorities are different for both groups. Mm-hmm. I've talked with Dr. Reynolds once. I had him on the show early. I haven't been able to come back and talk with him since, because COVID. And I think that it's a feeling that a lot of us have had. We have a new president who's been here for a year, and a lot of people don't know him.
Yeah. Yeah, I know he's also looking forward to things opening up and being able to be out amongst the faculty and the students again. I think there is a sense of, well, with all of us, that the lack of being able to engage, not just in a professional setting, but also in a social setting, in the, lobbies before and after events, and getting to be able to chat with people and have hallway conversations with so few faculty and not all of the students on campus. And things like hallway conversations aren't happening. And that, I think, is going to be really helpful in helping Jim to kind of reorient into the Milliken community.
A couple of weeks ago, I was talking with Dan Monroe, mm-hmm. and we were talking about that, the fourth floor on Schilling. There were just so many times that I dropped by as I was walking to do something at the English office. I'd see Dan, and the next thing you know, we're talking about something. I saw Mike Hollis George on advising day, and I was like, hey, I miss you guys.
Yep. It's one of the things I miss most about Schilling. I used to run into the Stickelses all the time over on the second floor. Yeah. I don't see anyone outside theater and dance anymore. But I do get to see my theater and dance colleagues who I didn't see some of. So that's nice.
The other thing, though, is that you spent the best part about teaching are the minutes that you spend right before class and the minutes you spend right after class with your students. That's when you know if you're getting to them. That's when you know what's going on. That's when you have that chance to really dig into something. That is what is missing from Zoom.
Absolutely. And I know a lot of us tried to create that fake space in Zoom, tried to, like, everybody, we can log in a few minutes early and just chat, and it may have worked once or twice. And then, like, people don't want to log in and chat on Zoom. People are going to log in at the last possible minute. It's not the same.
No.
So.
No, it's been a useful alternative.
Yes.
But it is not the best alternative.
Well, and it's not who we are at Milliken. You know, I'm sure some universities are adjusting great to all of this completely remote learning and are planning to do a lot more of it in the future. And, you know, there are some spaces, that's true at Millikan, where we will be able to deliver more online coursework than we have in the past. And I think that's a good thing. But a lot of us need that real in-person engagement with our students to do the crazy performance learning weird things we do effectively with our students. The research, the art, the, you know, the radio shows.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Or, you know, the thing, I'm right 2 floors above Albert Taylor, and that's where my office is. So usually around now, my office is got some pretty good music coming up, a little bit of slamming as people come up and back and forth, and there's busyness going on. And people, that's hard to replicate.
Yep.
So I'm really glad. What are you looking forward to as provost?
This is also going to be a really nerdy response. The strategic plan. We are past due for building a new strategic plan on campus. And this year, brand new president, global pandemic was not the year to start that. But I think next year we are going to start crafting a new strategic plan. And I think that's a really exciting time to engage administration and the faculty together to talk about what our vision is and where we can grow, and you know, for especially faculty to be able to throw out ideas about programs that can grow or change that maybe we haven't been worried about this year because we've all been just keeping our heads above water. And we have in some areas. I'm sure you're aware, we've got this new multimedia communication major coming online next year that I think is going to be really exciting for a lot of students who want to engage in both mass communication and learn some of the tech side of it. But I think there are probably more ideas like that and places where we can be innovative. And a strategic plan is an opportunity on the academic side for us to find those opportunities. And find our collaborations and the ways we can work together and the new performance learning ideas. So I'm really excited to start that process with faculty in the fall.
Okay. All right. I know this is not something you're supposed to ask, but I ask it anyway. Are you hoping that you get the interim tag taken off after a year because you did such a wonderful job?
I will be working throughout the year with the understanding that I will be in an interim 1-year position, but I will be applying for the full-time position. And it's really kind of a great opportunity to see if it's a good fit, both for Millikan and for me. Like, this is kind of a crazy step to jump from director of a school to provost. So I'm really excited to see how well it goes and how I meet challenges and how well I work with people, and to see if that's something that both the faculty and I would be interested in.
Years before, I would spend these next few minutes saying, okay, well, what do you like to do when you're not at school? What kind of things do you like to do? And the problem is that so many people would say, I like to go see a movie every now and then, or I like to go out to eat with my family and friends. And, you know, now you can't do that, you know? So what have you done to maintain your sanity for the last year?
Well, I'm a mom. And a wife, so I do still get to engage with my family when I leave here. I've got a 6-year-old and a 9-year-old, so they're doing all kinds of crazy things, mostly in the basement, taking violin lessons via Zoom, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But I get to hear them play, that kind of thing. My other hobby, if you will, is running. I'm a 5K racer, so I am really itching for races to reopen because I've been training all year thinking that might actually happen. So
when's the last time you got in a race?
What?
When's the last time you got to run a race?
In person? Gosh, I don't know. Probably the Halloween race at the airport a year and a half ago.
Okay.
By spring, races were getting canceled. Usually the Penguin in the Park race in Fairview Park in early spring is the first kind of race of the season. And that was the first one to get canceled last year. So I guess
My
that was,
wife used to run. The last big one she did was the one at U of I. They've got the marathon, but they also break it up, and you can have like 4 or 5 runners do it.
yep.
I always
Yeah,
got
I love that.
I always got a kick out of that because the Fruit of the Loom people were running by, and you had the guy with the great big Abe Lincoln head running.
That's what I love about the Halloween race too. People dress up for that Halloween race at the airport, and it's an evening race, which you usually don't get. So then
Right.
there's beers and spaghetti dinner and costume afterwards. It's a wild time.
Oh
Which is
yeah. I get a kick out of those people as they're doing it. I just don't know how that Abe Lincoln guy can run with that great big huge head on.
Yep, I wouldn't want to try. I would probably fall down. I'm not the most coordinated, but I can run in a straight line
You
for
can run in a straight line. Very.
about a half an hour. It's about my limit.
You said that they've got a full schedule for next year in the School
We
of Theater and
do.
Dance.
We do.
What do you got? What's coming that's good?
All right, so I should have memorized my dates. In September, we have our first show, which is Blood at the Root, which is a contemporary play examining race in a high school in America. Our second show is our big musical, which is She Loves Me. That'll take place in Kirkland in November, and that's kind of a you've got mail story of pen pals falling in love and not realizing they know and dislike each other in real life. Then we have our annual dance concert in December. Then in the spring, we have Clue, the play, which is based on Clue, the film, and is going to be a lot of fun. Again, wanted to throw something lighthearted and fun in there. Followed by Romeo and Juliet, which will be a contemporary retelling. And then finally, Violet, which is a contemporary musical about a woman taking a cross-country bus trip to meet a faith healer. So that one's got some really interesting vocal stylings. It's got a little bit of gospel feel to a couple of numbers. So that's kind of a fun way to end the season.
How hard is it going to be for you to go from director of the Theater of School and Dance, but one of them to provost?
That's going to be hard in some ways. I won't see the shows until I come as a patron. So that is going to be interesting, but also I think a lot of fun. I haven't engaged in theater at Millikin as a patron who didn't know what was going on with the designs and got to just come see the shows and experience them for the first time, sitting in that seat with the audience. And that's why I fell in love with theater in the first place, is the magic of not knowing. And so that I think will actually be a lot of fun too, to really get to see the student performers for the first time on opening night with
It is
everyone
a
else.
lot of fun. I'm telling you, I've been going since I've been here. I love watching you guys perform. You guys always put on a good show. I think, and I'm serious, I think the people that may have suffered the most in this have got to be the performers, even more than the athletes in a lot of ways, because what you guys are trying to do, I'm sorry, but trying to do that play outside is just...
At the same time, it's such a great performance learning opportunity. People do theater all the time outside. just
Yeah.
as we don't at Millikan typically. But I think it's been a really great opportunity for folks like our student stage managers to have to learn to think about the weather as we make pre-show calls, and our students who are mixing the audio and the microphone mix to have to worry about wind and windscreen on the microphones. So yeah, it's been really tough, but it's also, I think, been a really cool performance learning opportunity for the students. And we've gotten to try some new things. So we're always looking to try new things over here. We've always got crazy ideas. So it has been a lot, and it's been really hard, but it's also been a lot of fun.
I wish I could go see it. I really do. I'm
Well, I
just,
should point out we do still have one more show coming up after this one,
do you really?
because it has already been shot and is being video edited right now. So that one will be released digitally, but next weekend you'll be able to watch our digital dance concert. So check out the School of Theater and Dance Facebook page for the link.
Okay, that's cool. That's good. See, somehow, even though I've got my Decaturian students who are out doing a lot of stuff, somehow I feel like I don't know a lot of stuff that's happening until it's almost too late.
Well, this year's been so strange,
It
though.
really
You know,
has.
like we didn't advertise the outside show because we have a
Yeah,
limited audience. So
yeah,
it's
you can't
basically
have
just
that
theater
many
and
people
dance.
go.
Yeah. So
So how big is capacity going to be?
we have 88 seats. It's a really random number, but that's the number that fit nicely into the space we had in 6-foot socially distant spaces. So
Okay, you've got
88
88
seats
seats.
for performance, 4
Two
shows,
performances, 4.
Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, assuming none of them get rained out.
So just under 360.
Yep. Which is,
Not even a matinee.
yep. Yeah, we're about 250 students in the department plus another 20 some faculty and staff. So that's a good portion of the audience is just us. But we are able to at least have some folks we were able to share with some faculty outside the department and some administrators who will get to see the show as well. So Jim Reynolds will be able to see his first theater and dance live main stage, which is hard to believe that's in April, but I guess maybe May by then. But it's exciting to get to share it with at least some folks.
Yeah. And then, of course, you've got the people that graduate and you miss them and you don't get to really give them that send off.
Yep.
You had some people go last year that had been in just about everything and that you had followed, or, you know, I'd watched from the time they were freshmen all the way through. I had freshmen last year that were so excited. They were getting ready to go out and do it. They were in the opera. They were in the, you know, and we haven't got to see them. It's been rough, man. I'm telling you.
Well, and commencement, it's going to be lovely to get to see commencement live, but also it's so limited that we don't get to share it with their families or, and I imagine a lot of faculty aren't going to yet feel comfortable in a space that size. So, yeah.
And I wish I wasn't, last week I went to the zoo with my wife. All right. And there were people there.
Hopefully all with masks on.
It literally freaked me out. There were kids screaming and yelling and running all over the place. There were people having fun. And I did not know how to handle this. And I'm telling you, it's going to be hard as people go back. We want to go back into the world really, really, really bad.
Yep.
But, for an introvert like me, I've gotten used to the quiet.
Yeah, I'm hopeful we'll get to spend some time at the zoo this year. But I think I've heard that the pool's reopening. And I'm comfortable with my kids at the zoo. Like, we can stay away from people a little easier at the zoo. But the pool still worries me. So it's kind of a weird, like, I don't know what's safe.
What's good and what's bad. I get it. Well, Dr. Black, thank you so very much for coming on. We want to wish you all, and I don't know who all we is, but I at least definitely want to wish you the best of luck next year. I hope this is what you want it to be. I hope that you do a good job for all of us, and I hope you get to enjoy everything as much as you can.
Me
Now
too.
get to work and
Looking
figure
forward
out
to the
how to
challenge.
get all back to school next year.
Yeah, I look forward to seeing everyone live in person in the fall. Hopefully at opening faculty workshops. Hopefully we'll be able to have those in person. Wouldn't that be lovely?
Would we have it in Albert Taylor, or will you actually get to go to the new building and have it there?
We probably won't have it at the new building. The new theater is all flexible, so we don't keep the seats set up because we changed the stage configuration. But we might actually, if we were to have it in person, we may have it at Kirkland just to allow people to stay away from each other. So, yep, but we'll see. No
Okay.
decisions have been made on that yet. But I look forward to being able to see faculty live and in person again more often in the fall. So,
All right. Well, thank you
thank
very
you for
much.
having me.
Good luck. We will. Hopefully, I can try to get a hold of you during the summer to catch up and see how things are going.
That would be great.
And I promise I won't be real mean. I just,
All right, I can take it.
All right. Have a great day.
All right, thanks, Scott. Have a good one.
Bye.